Hi, I'm Sven. Welcome to my workshop. So we're going a step further from the duck feathers. We're going to be taking the feathers that we cut last time and cutting them down to size and shape, and then adding them to a shaft using a leather jig. Now, this leather jig, I'm not sure how long ago this practice started, and I've used it on a number of occasions, and it's very handy. And you can have it for different size shafts, and you can actually set it up for both 3 fletch and 4 fletch. So we're going to start with cutting these feathers to size. So you want all these feathers the same size. So I'm using the inch side of the ruler, and I want 5 inch. So knife. That long. Okay. And I give it a bit of an angle to give it the shield profile. There we go. I'll just trim that bit off. I have to use the scissors on it. Go. And we'll do another one just in case we need it. So yes, I'm going to trim those off. And 5 inches is there. Let's see if we can chop that. Let's try it this way. Oh, that's much easier. So it's like cutting a quill. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off a bit at the back as well. Just taking the feathers off. So I've got something to bind to the shaft. Okay, can you see that? So I've taken off a bit there and a bit there. Let's do that to all of them. And it's much easier doing it that way. They're a range of different sizes. It's not going to affect the flight that much. Okay, that's a darker one. Put those dark ones together. That's a light one. That's a light one. So we've got enough. Let's look at the shaft. We're going to end the binding at 1 inch from the nock, and the feathers are 5 inches long. So I've marked those marks at 5 inches, and this mark down from here is where the cock feather is going to sit. So it's pretty simple. Line up the nock, and then you draw a mark at 1 inch, and then you take that up to 5 inches. So, and then you use a finger gauge for the mark. So that's just sitting on top of my finger, and I'm running it down the top of the shaft. So that's where I'm going to stick the cock feather. I'm going to load it up. So you can see this mark, this cut, is where the cock feather goes. So that goes over the shaft and sits there. Okay, can you see that? So that's like that. So I'm going to stick, let's see if this works. There. And we're going to bind all 3 feathers at once. goes through there, and that one. Okay. So you see how they're sitting through there? And we need to pull those back. Line them up with the mark. Okay. That's ready to go. So I'm using some linen thread. So I'm just going to turn that into a sort of a spool. Okay. See? A little spool. So I've got my scissors and my knife handy. So how I'm going to start it off, and I'm holding the shaft under my left arm. I'm going to do double half hitch. So once, twice, and I'm going to pull it together. Start of the feathers like mine. Okay. So I'm going to go back down the shaft and go over the thread. So we're going back up the shaft, just turning the feather around, covering the thread from the knot, just pulling off the thread off the spool, working your way up the shaft. Okay, we're nearly at the top of the feathers. That's the cock feather there. We'll just make sure that they all line up. So that's where the cock feather sits. The others should be. So I've started off with a binding of about 7 mil, and I'm coming up the shaft. So I'll make sure that's holding the start of the feathers in place. Okay. And I'm going to pull this way, and it slides up. Okay, so now we start going up the shaft. Now the gap between the threads varies from various sources, and as long as you're consistent, it'll look nice. So you turn it around, what we're trying to do is go down between the feathers and slowly work our way up. So I'm pulling tight on the feather, so I'm pulling tight on the thread as I go up to make sure it's holding the feather properly. So I need to move that up. So next place, if you have a look at a microscopic picture of a feather, you'll find that there's little hooks on the various pieces of the feather and it holds them together. So I'm going to use a knife and open it up. Okay. So we're going over the end bits now. For some reason, the cork feathers come up short. So round and round we go to hold the base of the feather in place. And then we've got to do a knot. Now I'm keeping the tension on with my forefinger and thumb and the back of the hand. Okay, getting there. What we're going to do, I'm going to cut off about between 15 and 20 centimetres. I'm holding the arrow under my armpit, and we're going to do a couple of double hitches. Get my finger out of there, pull it tight. Okay, and I'm going to go back a little bit over what we've done. And do another double hitch. Over, around, and pull it tight. Now, so it's not perfect. So I'm just going to push those round. I can move that around because it's still movable. So it doesn't look pretty. We don't have any pine resin or anything else, so I'm just going to use some glue just to go over those knots so it doesn't unravel, and I can go back over there just to hold that in place. Now, whenever you're using Fletching or other glues that have got methyl ethyl ketone, please use in a ventilated space because it's bad for you. So this bottom piece down here, I'm just going to trim off with the knife. It comes off, and this one's a bit harder, so I'm going to use the scissors. So there you go. As I said, you can use any feathers, so that's duck feather, and that's good enough to use. Most arrows are one use anyway. Okay, thanks for watching. Please have a safe one.